episode of ISSA Canada's Coffee Talk Forum. Managing a successful cleaning organization requires hard work, dedication, and perhaps most importantly, a thorough understanding of the customer's service requirements. It's necessary, therefore, to manage an organization in a manner that is predicated on ensuring quality and overall customer satisfaction. The ISSA Cleaning Industry Management Standard, otherwise known as CIMS, is designed to assist cleaning organizations in setting up a management system that allows a business to meet these goals. In essence, the standard can be thought of as a management framework that can be used to develop customer-centered, quality-oriented businesses. As the new year unfolds and cleaning organizations consider their next steps to grow and enhance their businesses, we felt it timely to revisit the ISSA standard that can help achieve those goals. Last year, we took a look at the CIMS standard from the surface. This time around, we're taking a deeper dive to see how the standard has helped in actual practice. Are you on the fence about obtaining CIMS? Then listen carefully because today could make a difference. In Canada, there are currently 45 companies who have achieved CIMS certification and many more who have individually achieved CIMS certification expert status. Today, I'm pleased to introduce our special guests who represent 3 of those firms. With over 10 years of experience in health and safety management, Christina Warbeck recognizes industry best practices in both industrial and commercial environments. She earned her Bachelor of Business Management from the University of Lethbridge and continued her education with a certificate in Occupational Health and Safety from the University of Alberta. Christina is a Canadian Registered Safety Professional, Certified Core Auditor, and franchise owner who has received awards and recognition for advancing the innovative use of technology. As Scandinavian Building Services Director of Health and Safety, Christina specializes in a collaborative approach to ensure health and safety legislative compliance across Canada. Michael Love is the Caretaking Director at the University of Calgary. Prior to joining the industry, he worked in the healthcare sector for 24 years in multiple roles including strategic contract management of EMS, ground and dispatch, and linen. As a change agent, database expert, programmer, system analyst, coach, mentor, and complex problem solver, Michael has applied his expertise in various departments and has truly set a course forward for the University of Calgary. Shannon Hall is Vice President of Sales for Dustbane Products Limited and Captain of the ISSA Hygiene Network Canada region. Shannon is a transformational sales leader with over 20 years sales leadership. Working for several Fortune 500 companies as well as private businesses, Shannon has been tasked with delivering results, building high-performing sales teams, and creating a sales and customer-focused culture. And finally, Ken Hilder, who is the chair of ISSA Canada's Building Service Contractor Council. Ken brings more than 25 years in the sanitation industry, working in both manufacturing and distribution for companies including Kimberly-Clark, Swish Maintenance, and ISO National Cleaning Solutions. Retiring from the industry in 2016, Ken has provided strategic consulting to ISSA Canada and was instrumental in the establishment of ISSA Canada's Building Service Contractor Council in 2017. Welcome, everyone. At this time, I just want to remind everyone that this is an interactive conversation, so if you have any questions or comments, please utilize the chat feature or simply raise your hand. So let's get started. Ken, I'd like to start with you. Between yourself and ISSA Canada's Executive Director, Mike Nosko, you have been a huge proponent of the CIMS Standard. In fact, you and Mike met with multiple facility managers and building owners to promote the standard as well as the companies who are certified in it. So, Ken, in your own words, like what is the draw to the CIMS Standard? What is it about this standard that you feel sets a company apart from the competition?
I think to your question, Tanya, from my perspective, there's a number of reasons as to why CIMS is a draw, but the one that I think stands out for me, primarily is the fact that it's a professional standard that is designed specifically around cleaning for building service contractors as well as in-house service providers. And I think you mentioned the word earlier in your comments, a management framework. I think it's a management framework that leads to quality and consistency in their operations. And I think, from what I've heard, speaking to, various contractors across the country and in some cases end user clients on the property management side, that seems to be, the key draw that most people talk about or mention when asked that question.
So, why is it important for building owners and managers to recognize CIMS certification when securing facility services, Ken?
Just repeat that again, Tanya. It didn't come through clear.
Sorry, why is it important for building owners and managers to recognize CIMS certification when it comes to securing facility services?
I think the quick and easy answer, the simplest one, is peace of mind. I think knowing, from a building manager's point of view, knowing that they've contracted with a professional company who can deliver consistent, high quality cleaning results is really kind of what it's all about. People will talk about, that they know how to clean and they can do a good job cleaning. But a lot of the larger companies with multi locations across Canada, for example, really look for that as well as consistency. They need the consistency to be across the board. And I think, being a CIMS certified contractor or, having your in-house service team, certified under CIMS really goes a long way to helping that consistency to be ensured.
So in your travels, what are you hearing from those that you and Mike have met along the way? What is some of the feedback that you're hearing about CIMS?
I think again, the simplest and best answer is that it works. That's what I consistently get from the contractors. Very early on, back when we started or initiated the contractor council, and the purpose there is to really seek feedback from the contractors from ISSA's perspective, so that we better understand what their needs are, so that we can deliver programs or support to their needs. One of the things that came out in those early conversations, from the members that were CIMS certified, was that it would be helpful for them if we could support them in terms of creating more awareness at the end user level, the property management level. And what I'm starting to hear, in the last year, is a lot more awareness from the end users that now they do understand, they know what CIMS is all about, and that they understand what the value is in contracting with a provider that is CIMS certified. And so, hearing that, is very special, I guess, from my perspective, because it tells me that not only, is CIMS, the awareness of CIMS is high within contractors themselves, but now the end users that they're trying to capture or retain business with are now much more fully aware of what CIMS brings to the party.
Excellent. Thanks. So Christina, as a building service contractor, what was the driving force for Scandinavian to become CIMS certified? Can you outline your company's why?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had a bit of a discussion with our owners, as we've had CIMS certification now for 10 years or so. And just looking at the history of our why, it's changed probably over time, but initially it was really about growing our safety culture. So 10 years ago, things looked very different in our industry for safety. And we wanted to really challenge our teams on just that consistency of service, of quality, of delivery, and then an opportunity to also educate our people and communicate more on our company processes and policies. So it just helped us to elevate the way that we do business, and also to take in knowledge from the industry. So from the standard, you end up learning a lot about maybe where your weaknesses are, where your gaps are, and then learning from others, whether that's in the industry or from the ISSA as well. So the certification certainly helped us to be better as a service provider as well.
Excellent. So, Michael, you represent the in-house service sector of our industry. So, as an ISP for the University of Calgary, why do you feel it was important for the university to achieve certification?
Well, first of all, when I started here in 2014, I didn't know much about the ISSA CIMS GB certification. I came to the university and had an interview. It went well. Then my boss at the time that was hiring just told me, said this place and it's in disarray, and I think we need to get CIMS GB. So I went, okay, well, I'm not sure what that is, but it sounds good. And coming from the healthcare and looking after janitorial for a little bit, and in the healthcare, I kind of looked at that and doing contracts for the province. I kind of recognized right away it just aligned exactly with what we were doing there for the most part, so it just made sense. And it was really a foundation piece to rebuild credibility for the department within the large campus. Like, we have over 35,000 people here. And the funny thing is my daughter was coming to university, so I had a big incentive to make this place clean and safe certainly for my family. So that was my personal agenda by far. I'm going to make this place really good and really take, allow the staff to be proud of what they're, of the place they work. They were proud of the university, but they weren't really proud of the work. And, taking that and turning it around and putting a system in place is really a foundation piece, so we can start looking at other things we can do. I always look at it as like a bridge. You build a bridge. You can either put a little pillar to hold that bridge, or you build one heck of a foundation. And the CIMS GB is really a great foundation to build something. And on top of that, then you could build great stuff. Meaning, you have great engagement, you have great training programs, you put all these other things, because now you're not worried about the day-to-day confusion that happens if you don't have a system in place. So essentially, that's kind of where it started for us, and yeah.
Awesome, thanks. So, Shannon, you bring a different aspect to the CIMS conversation here. As a distributor, you have CIMS Certification Expert status, CCE, which is formerly the ISSA CIMS Certification ICE status. So what is your why?
It's when we take a look at what we do as one of Canada's leading manufacturers when it comes to cleaning chemicals and equipment, I think if we're going to go out there and meet with customers and truly be that expert and lend our advice and make recommendations, we have to have a process in place. It needs to be consistent. And when it comes to green cleaning practices, we really need to understand what our customers are looking to achieve and how we can best support them in that. And I think without going through the certification process, you leave a lot behind that you may not be aware of. And even taking a look at the types of supplies that people are using and what green cleaning really means. It's not just the chemicals or the practice, it's everything that goes along with that when it comes to waste reduction, transportation costs that are associated with that I think often gets left behind. And we really need to make sure that we're looking at a complete holistic picture that we can provide that value, safety, and expertise to our customers. So for my team, I think it's critical that they actually go through that certification process and use that as a launching pad to build off of for other certifications that they need to have to truly say that they're an expert in this industry.
Excellent, thanks. So the green building component of the CIMS standard is optional. So it allows companies the opportunity to implement a standardized framework for the delivery of environmentally preferable cleaning services. So the criteria specified in this section is closely tailored to meet the specific green cleaning requirements in the LEED for existing buildings, operations and maintenance green building rating system. Compliance in this section helps an organization demonstrate their ability to assist customers to achieve LEED points while greening their overall operations. So all of you have gone this extra step and achieved the CIMS Green Building with honors, no less. So, Michael, the university has been extremely forward-thinking when it comes to green cleaning practices. In fact, your university was the winner of the 2022 ISSA Canada Environmental Sustainability Award. And for Scandinavian, green cleaning practices have also been a key pillar for health and safety of your frontline teams, as well as occupants of the facilities use service. So it may be obvious, but why the decision to go that extra step and achieve that CIMS GB? Christina, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, it was important to our clients, for one. So, of course, we were willing and happy to step up to that challenge. But we also wanted to be seen as an organization that's innovative and open-minded and willing to adapt and be flexible. So when we can explore other products and equipment that are better for the environment, we're just happy to trial those out to ensure that they still meet our cleaning standard. But if they're better for the environment, it's, like you said, kind of an obvious one. So we work with our clients closely. We hear their needs. And then we just look at our processes and ways that we can just be a better service provider.
That's awesome.
For the environment.
Okay. Michael, how about you?
Well, for us, it certainly at that time in 2014, when we were, pursuing this and putting a lot of effort in going there, it was, you go the extra mile. You think of, all the people that work for you, and you go, over a period of time, this chemistry could give them some very ill effects. So why not try to remove that and care for your people? And I always believe if you really care for your staff and you invest in your staff, being one of these easy things that they have really no say at the time. So we will invest in our staff, and we'll invest in the environment around us for all the kids and students, having family at the university. You care for everybody around you, and you want to make sure that these products are the least, toxic to the environment, being the people, really, because that's at the end of the day where it's going to be the greatest impact, I believe. So yeah, it just absolutely made sense to do it. There was no question about it. We were going green one way or another. We might not have got it, but we were going green one way or another. So,
that's awesome.
That's kind of, yeah.
In a nutshell. Thank you. Shannon, I know I'm not sure, like, if the green cleaning aspect of the CIMS is actually covered in the CIMS certification expert status.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah,
it is. So, because I know has that helped you? I know Dustbane has a lot of environmental incentives with your buy one plant one program. Can you outline that, like how the green aspect of CIMS has helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're taking a look at whether it's a chemical opportunity or an equipment opportunity, we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the customer. And when you take a look at a lot of the literature that's there on green cleaning and starts talking about air quality and different applications with equipment, it becomes really important that we understand how much equipment someone has in their building, if they're trying to meet a LEED standard, what they need to have in order to maintain their status. But then on the chemical side, it's really digging in a little bit deeper with some of those customers. While they want to have an eco logo product or they want to have a green sale product, not all are created equal. So that's where we start to take into consideration some of those dilution factors. If your dilution rate is 50% better than the next eco logo product, then we're helping that customer not only reduce the amount of chemistry that's going through their building and into their systems, we're also helping them reduce that waste, the packaging, the cost, the transportation, the carrying costs, and all of the safety attributes that go along with that. So we really want to make sure that we're pulling from the certification and leveraging that. With our team, what I've done is made sure that not only have they gone through the program and got the certification, but the follow-up process to that. So often, you'll take a course and you don't go back to it until your certification is due again. We like to go through and remind people on a regular basis so that it stays sticky with them, doing cahoots and building out some other elements of this program to make sure that it's top of mind and something that we're thinking about when dealing with any customer, whether they are a CIMS approved facility or they've got CIMS certification is something that they're looking at doing. We want to make sure that we're putting that across all of our customers.
Awesome. Thanks. So obviously certification is going to look like it's going to look different to whatever business that you're in. If you're a building service contractor, in-house service provider, an individual. So what did certification look like in terms of each of your businesses? Like, what's the process long? How did you prepare? And how long did it actually take to achieve? Michael, I'll start with you.
Well, we were in the rear. We didn't really have much. I mean, the university had certainly a recruitment process and they had some safety process, in place and so forth. But the department was, like I said, in total disarray. So we had to take from complete disarray to being best in show, I guess. So it took about, 14 months with no real documentation to a full documentation process, SOPs all written, staff trained, reframing the training, actually creating new training. The training was not existent. So actually, basically everything together took about a year and then 2 months to completely get everybody, finalized and then have the auditor show up and cross your fingers that, we had this nailed down, because we were in a storm while we were doing all this, as you can imagine. So, it'll depend on, I think it depends on the effort you want to put into it. You can take longer or less, but it was either we get contracted out to a certain extent or we put the effort to make this right.
Exactly.
So,
Wow. Excellent. Christina, how about you?
So for Scandinavian, we have site locations across Canada. And so initially when taking on CIMS, we knew we had to break it up kind of probably by province was our best bet, as our leadership is kind of designated to provinces. So we started with Alberta. It took 2 to 3 months probably to get things organized and our sites looking good and people understanding the processes and the new policies that were coming out. And then we moved from province to province. So each province probably took 2 to 3 months to really communicate to, understand expectations, and do those site visits to verify that the understanding was there.
So as you were completing procedurally, as you were going through this process, did you find that your company had any shortcomings or other areas where you potentially excelled at?
Yeah, for sure. Our safety program was in its infancy back then. So we definitely had a lot of gaps in our program. So we are also core certified and we've been for a few years. So going through something like a core audit and other health and safety audits really do help to elevate us as well in our health and safety program. So then we just did a gap analysis. We looked at the CIMS Standard and where our shortfalls were or where our gaps were, and then just utilized the different departments within the organization and had designated leads. And then they started tackling kind of things simultaneously. So each department could get the ball rolling and make some changes and document our current processes.
Wow, excellent. Michael, I know you had mentioned previously that when the University of Calgary had first started to go through the process, that you were basically starting with nothing. So, in terms of your shortcomings, you guys have come a long way. Do you find that the whole process, you're still growing and finding new things out as you go through it, certification, recertification?
So certainly the certification was, it was a challenge because you try to put everything into play that doesn't exist and change the mindsets of the people that are working for you that have worked here. It was the average employee had over 20 plus years experience. So it's not like you're taking a young workforce and shifting it. And we had, average age was, in the high 50s. So, it was an uphill battle, but, it took some effort to get everybody, lined up and then, get that shift changing. Sorry, I'm missing the question again. I have to go back.
Yeah, that's okay.
So
You lost your train of thought.
yeah, that's kind of where I kind of lead down that path. So it's we needed to build a foundation at the end of the day to change the what was going on here, and we needed to rebuild the confidence with our staff because the leadership and the staff and the leadership had disconnected. It was we had morale issues. We had obviously cleaning issues. It was dirty everywhere. It was really bad. You couldn't get any worse. It's when I came and I was told it was bad. I didn't know we could pull it off this quick. And when you put something that resonates with the people, they will grab onto it. And the more you could put that vision together on what this is going to look like in the future, more people will buy into it. And then eventually they're going to put their own effort. And if you give them the birth of space to get through and go ahead, you're just basically you're trying to hold them back and keep them in the one direction more than so forth. So that's kind of where we, what happened to us. I had a lot of motivated, hired a great team. There had to be a change of some of the leadership team to bring new thought process in. And I was very fortunate to have an amazing team. And from that, I still have an amazing team. And it's been, the first part was, I guess, really difficult to get. After that, what resonated with us was that every time you recertify, you find yourself going back and just going, okay, my foundation has a few little cracks here. I need to fix this and re-solidify it, because if these things start permeating further and further, then what I built on top of it's not going to hold. So we need to go back and make sure the SOPs are straight, the safety's in place. All these other things are really solid, which is the CIMS foundation to build something better or bigger than just the CIMS foundation, I call it, right? So we've gone beyond that. Like, we have something pretty amazing here as far as I'm concerned. And I think the auditors have noticed that here and there. So, we're proud, and there's a lot of engagement with our staff, and our staff are very proud to be working here.
So as you went through the process, did Christina, you as well, did you guys have to receive any guidance along the way, or did everything the processes just fall into place as they were meant to be? Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah. So the CIMS auditors, assessors were fantastic at giving guidance along the way. And I was grateful for that coming into the organization, because whoever was leading this certification is no longer with the company. So I felt a little bit blind in the process at first. It can be intimidating.
Yeah.
But once you start getting into it, you identify your gaps and you have that assessor to go to for some direction, for answering some of your questions. It certainly lowers your nerves, and you make some progress and feel some confidence building along the way. So it worked out really well having that one person you could go to, who's an expert, who's been with the industry for decades. And I also just learned a lot from that individual. So I was really grateful for the experience as well.
Awesome. Thanks. Michael, how about you guys?
The assessors, I mean, worked with one of my employees. He now works at Queens, and actually he's on the screen. He's here, Sam White, and Sam worked with the assessors, and he'd keep coming back to me, Michael, they're asking for this, could we verify? And Sam wasn't an expert in caretaking, so there was a lot of dialogue of exchange of translation of what did you really want here. So he was basically tasked with making sure documentation was into play, and the processes, anything that was gaps that he would identify, bring back to the team, and then the team would be adjusting and making sure we had that fixed. But yeah, it they're amazing. I mean, I have to say it, you know, we couldn't have done it without, we couldn't have done it as successfully without having, you know, the engagement that occurred with these guys, because, and I say guys, could be gals, but, they're very helpful to guide you along on what, you know, the certification requires you to have. So you don't have these gaps. And then it reinforces that this is a foundation thing. So yes, we should have that. And, you know, when do we put it into play? But we need to get it done. So we've identified everything, and every time we did it, we just showed them a component, say, hey, what does this look? Yeah, this is good. You're missing this. Okay, great. Now we go back and adjust and add to it. So by the time the certification was done, we knew we would get the CIMS. We just didn't know if we'd get it with honors at the time. It's kind of, we were pretty confident because they were guiding us along. Said, yeah, you're pretty good. And then you have to come verify, right? That's the other part. I mean, you put all the paperwork together and you come check and you're not doing any of that. Well, that'll be a different story. But yeah. So,
Excellent. So Shannon, you achieving individual certification, what was the process like for you?
So, you know what, it was really simple. Our company's been around for 115 years. So you've got a lot of history there and a lot of expertise, but you can very quickly become complacent. So we feel it is really important that you stay on top of all certifications and really understand what the standard looks like and how we can apply that. So having our team go through it, we did the online version and did it as a team, and then had follow-up meetings to it. But what we started to identify was there are some areas where we're very strong in our understanding, and there were some areas that we needed to get a little bit deeper into, like bloodborne pathogen wasn't something that we deal with on a regular basis. However, our customers do. So it was very important that we added on some additional certification after the process to really make sure that we were closing the gaps and having those right conversations with our customers. But also when we're out there in the field and doing training, we need to really understand this and have those right conversations so that you're not making recommendations or doing something in the field that wouldn't really align with what your customers' goals, visions are, and from a safety perspective, just isn't the right thing to do.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. So, you know, as an individual certification, would you say that it has brought value to you personally and to your company?
Absolutely. So I think from a company perspective, we've certainly had different conversations with our distribution partners because they're curious. Why would you go through this process when you're not actually doing the frontline work? Well, it's kind of critical in our role that we can explain what that frontline work looks like and make those recommendations. We don't blindly go out there and make recommendations without trialing the products and understanding what that process looks like. So if we're truly doing our jobs as consultants, we should be able to deliver that value to our customers. For myself personally, what I found was it helped elevate our team and reaffirmed to them that they're qualified and that they are experts. When you do have a lot of transition in the sales aspect of the role and you do have turnover, you want to make sure that those people that are coming into these roles really understand and learn from some of the others on the team. But learning outside of your own business is probably the best place that you can learn from.
Excellent. Thank you. Jacqueline, you asked about applying for individual certification. Yes, ISSA hosts a variety of either virtual meetings or in-person meetings to obtain the CIMS certification expert. Like that is for individuals only. I will send you a link to the site, to our website, and you can read all into it more.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
So the CIMS standard is based on 5 key sections, specifically quality system, service delivery, human resources, health, safety, and environmental stewardship, and management commitment. So what section of the CIMS standard would you say has helped your business the most? Christina?
I will answer similarly to the last time, probably the health and safety section, which is where we identified the most gaps.
Yeah.
However, as our organization has really grown over the last few years, we are really just seeing that we need to continue to evolve and update every area. The company has just had such a tremendous amount of growth. So certainly at the beginning was health and safety, and we've come a long way in establishing our program now. So I'll say the gaps are less in that area, which is fantastic. So we've got a lot in place. And as I mentioned, the other audits that we go through really help to keep our health and safety program up to a really high standard. Where we're, in comparison to like a construction industry, we're on par. So that's really fantastic to see as the industry grows in that area as well. The expectations are going to get higher, and they should, and we continue to make people safer.
So, but as you went through the process, did you find that there were some things that you're like, wow, Scandinavians really good at this? Like any segment within the certification process? People don't like to brag, so this is a bragging moment.
Yes, I'm happy to brag about my operations team. Probably our service delivery is where we're the most consistent. It's really a fundamental piece of our contract to our clients that we are going to maintain a quality standard of service. And so we do that with a really robust inspection program, with a feedback loop of communication with our clients. So I think we were most strong there, and our operations teams work really hard. So I will give them all that credit.
That's awesome. Michael, how about you?
Well, like I said earlier, we had nothing. So, all of it,
Everything.
all of it was about a great value. So I think it's built. I mean, one of the initial stuff I was trying to achieve is really build credibility with the leadership at the university. I mean, when you work in a big place like a university and there's researchers and half the people have PhDs and different things and they're all experts, and you come with caretaking, people kind of look and there's, I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm saying. You're a little bit one step behind. So that said, you need to prove that you're, at that level of sophistication when it comes to your service. Everybody's at the top of their field in their areas across the university. So, if you're not there, they're going to pick up really quick. And we've been challenged along the way, and they were actually pleasantly surprised and maybe even, amazed on the level of sophistication our department has from what they thought it had. And it's really helped us build our relationship with our customers and the leadership. And as a result, it's just like, the whole idea of going outsource kind of put aside. The other thing we're seeing is that right now and over time is just how many compliments we get. We're getting emails consistently, amazing work. You people are amazing, and it's like constantly coming in, and you just go, wow, this is great, right? So the staff are taking pride. We have a whole bunch of other stuff, and this is where you kind of build that foundation. Above the foundation, you're building something greater. Which is the culture and the engagement and all these other things that you put into play that are kind of, you need to have this in place to build something that's going to repeat itself consistently and allow to see management move on and grow into other areas, and then have new management come into a system and actually, see what's going on and pick up on that and put their spices along the way and make it still very palatable to everybody. And that's kind of the pride we have. So every component, I mean, our core audit, when we did a core audit the first year, was here in 2014, and we hadn't done the CIMS, and the department as a whole, facilities got 83 or 84%. My boss was all going, oh, geez, it's terrible. He said, we passed, but it's not great, and so forth. And I said, geez, this is excellent. We haven't done anything and we're passing. I said, imagine once we start doing CIMS GB and we start getting these other things. Well, a year and a half or 2 years later, which was every 2 years, we did the core audit, and facilities, and they thought caretaking was going to bring it down. We hit close to 100%. We were at 98 and some percent, which is, unseen. And we were the highest at the whole university. So there was a lot of pride, with that. We were also, the highest level of engagement. The caretaking department, which again, they thought facilities as a whole, caretaking is going to bring us down because it had been a bad situation. So caretaking, we pulled it out of facilities, put it in there. We were basically top side to side with the president's office. And if you're not engaged at president's level office, then you're a thing. So we were top across the whole university. So they started seeing that this program, this foundation has a lot going for it. And, they everybody associated the CIMS GB with a great thing across the university that understood what we had achieved. So, yeah, I think all of it is required to be done. We need to do it. We have to do everything. There's no doubt about it. We have to change everything.
Well, clearly the certification has been meaningful to all of you, because not only have you become certified, but you've also maintained the certification over the years. So in that time, like how have you seen your business grow? How have you seen your facility grow? In either case, Michael, why don't you address that?
Yeah, so our campus is growing. If you've been at the campus 7-8 years ago, you come back, you would not recognize it. It's growing exponentially. There's buildings going up everywhere. We have a whole new. There's buildings everywhere. I'll just say, and it's growing and growing and growing. And we really didn't have to, adjust our staffing too much, right? So it just grew, and we were able to build on that quality that we have. And what it's done for us is it's simplified. So take example, COVID came along, and that was a shock for everybody. The whole cleaning industry got tossed upside down. We didn't even blink an eye when that came up, right? We were ready. Our SOPs were written. We had COVID. Well, not COVID. We had pandemic. We had, outbreaks. We had it already all in our SOPs because our foundation was solid. So I started ordering supplies in January before people even started talking about doing that. We had everything planned. So when time came, we said, okay, instead of going, it's pandemic, we moved to this procedure. The staff already knew. They weren't too worried about it. We just told them. We changed some of our products, changed our process. We adjust where we clean, and it was seamless, absolutely seamless. Nobody panicked. The staff went. It's the same as if we were doing the day-to-day cleaning. Nothing really was effort. So having a strong system, you're not in chaos when something happens. Yeah. And so if you're growing or you're shrinking or whatever's happening across your environment, you're ready because your system is solid. So you can throttle up, you can throttle down, you can shift completely. And that's what this has done for us.
Yeah.
So I can't speak enough about it. It is the core part of the cleaning industry. And I wish everybody had it, because then we would at least know that this industry has a certain professionalism, as Ken was mentioning, because it's not out there. It lacks in many places, and there's unfortunately it I would say tarnishes the industry's reputation when we have some bad actors with that don't do the right thing. So,
thank you. Wow, nice. Christina, how about you?
Yeah, I'll say it's helped our organization with the growth along the way. So as we present to clients, we're very proud of the CIMS certification. We're proud that we utilize more sustainable products and equipment. And it's also helped us with building relationships with our vendors, in that we're challenging them to come to us with innovative ideas. And then internally, working within our teams, we've collaborated more. We have better communication, and then more standardized policies and procedures, like I mentioned. So those are really great for us as we moved into the growth phase, because like Mike just mentioned, you're able to throttle up or throttle down. So that certainly helped us as we went into the growth phase, that we had a lot established in place.
Wow. How about you, Shannon? What value has it brought to your organization?
There's so many different ways in which you can look at it. I think when we talk to our customers about our go-to-market and how we do our site survey process, what it really did was it took what we'd formalized and put a quality system to that, where we can now express that to customers very clearly, help them with their training, help them with their SOPs, and make sure that we've got complete alignment But what I love most about that is I have consistency across the country through all of our sales team members. They're speaking the same language and they're having those day-to-day conversations and bringing it up. But I also think, Mike had mentioned earlier that this industry can have a little bit of a tarnished look to it. And I really do believe that having these certifications in place does elevate your professionalism and gives that presence and expertise that you absolutely need when you're going into this. I mean, what we do is very near and dear to people's hearts. It has everything to do with their personal safety, and we need to take that seriously and make sure that we're doing the right things.
That's awesome. Thank you. So obviously, when you decide to make that jump to obtain the certification, there's an investment involved, time, financial, all of it. What has the return on investment been for your business by achieving it? Like, have you seen a return in investment? Shannon, go ahead.
The industry's been a little fragmented these days, and there's been a lot of change. So I think for us to quantify in a number what that return on investment would be, I don't think we can actually do that. But what I can say is that customers are viewing us differently. They're looking at all of their supply chain and saying, where am I getting my products? Are they quality? Do they have the right certifications on their products? But most importantly, do their people know what they're doing? And can they help my business? And I think that has been the most critical piece as we've gone through some of the turbulence that we've seen through 2020 and supply chain disruption and acquisitions and a tremendous amount of turnover. This is an industry where people do tend to stay in roles for a long period of time, but I think that time has shifted, and we are looking to our manufacturers and our suppliers to be those experts and lend that hand, where often our customers, they may not have the time or they may not have all of those elements that they need. They need that additional support and that resource. I'd have to say that if you're not leveraging your manufacturing partners, you absolutely should, and your distribution partners, for where their expertise lies, that they can really help you in your business and give a different lens from what they might see outside of your facility. So definitely for us, it's been a great value and something I would continue to invest in with my team. But as I mentioned earlier, adding on those nuances and elements to this really does help round things out for you and really does make sure that you've got that continuous improvement plan in place.
Thank you. Christina, how about you?
Yeah, like Shannon had said, I think it would be very difficult to quantify exactly what that return on investment is. However, I do know that our clients love it. Some clients require it, and we're happy to meet that standard. And we're happy to be challenged as well. So that's, we're grateful for that our clients do drive some of this. But otherwise, I think just as an organization, we are happy to go from good to great. And in this industry, great is what we strive for, right? You can provide good service, but if you can provide great service, you're recognized. And so we do have a lot of, positive recognition from our clients as a result of the certification, and that we have stepped into the challenge. So I think overall, our clients is really where we see the most return on investment. Internally, of course, there's a lot of return as well. We've just got more consistency, where we have less confusion and better communication and things like that.
Wow. Michael, how about for you guys?
Well, for us, the first few years was, building that credibility. It kept going up and up and up and up. And the quality, we could find a corner that had a dust speck. It was right. We had our work loading done so well that, people were accountable with the quality management system, with the inspections, with everything that was in place to achieve that. And then all of a sudden these cuts start coming along. And, like I told my boss, I said, you asked me to build a nice car, but I built you a Ferrari. Now he said, well, that's too costly. We need to do something else. We need to bring it back down, right? We have other places to spend the money. So, which was fine. And, it's funny because we had, there was a company that came and said, well, that's easy. You can CIMS GB, you got the university, you government money, you just throw money at problems and it gets solved. And I have to say that was not the situation. We really have to fight for every dollar, and we have to prove that it was going to get to a certain outcome. And that outcome had to give a return And we did that over and over. And as you start building that confidence within the leadership, then they stop being so, I call it paralysis by analysis, right? They back off and you say, well, they seem to know what they're doing. So if they're putting a plan together, so all of a sudden the pressure comes off in terms of when you put something together, they know you're going to deliver because you have a repeatable pattern of success. And then they start removing all those barriers, and all of a sudden, things go well. And then the cuts came about 4 years ago, and we started cutting and cutting and cutting. So we went from, we had to let go of some of our management teams. So we let go of 17 of our leaders that were frontline leaders, and we moved that, we basically collapsed our leadership down to, we had, a whole lead hand level. We removed that, and then we just had, supervisors. So we went down to, 10 supervisors to manage 270 staff. And then we have about, at that time, we had about 6 million and some square feet. And then we started growing in space and getting more cuts. So now at this point, we're down to 8 supervisors with about just under 8 million square feet of cleaning. And, they manage, just over 200 staff. And our outcomes are still of a high quality, repeatable, constant. So our cuts, our savings, I guess equated to over $2 million+ that we would not have been able to achieve without a very rigorous system in place and a good foundation that we could throttle down. Now we do get, points of pressure from time to time, and we're getting them from here. But what they're realizing is the customers realizing, you guys been cut so much that now we're starting to see the impacts. And not only that, I was able to actually identify where all the impacts would happen. And I said to them, if you support me, here's what the impact's going to be. And they said, oh, yes, that's happening. You said this would happen. So now we know. So maybe we'll give you a few dollars. So it was, again, the credibility is there. So we've identified where, we're maybe not the primary purpose of a university cleaning, but, we know that the success of students, through APA proven, through few studies that proven that, they will get better outcomes. And I would suggest that's the same for employees and businesses and wherever you're cleaning, people are able to produce better when they're in a healthier, cleaner environment and less sick and all this other stuff that happens when we don't do our job right. So, yeah, I would say it was 2.5 million, 70 people. Our leadership is 1 to 30 some odd right now, from our front line. And we have what we call, result only work environment where they deliver the service, they know what's expected, and they come to us with the problems. And we don't we do as a final thing, what we've done is we tell the staff, you tell us what we need to do. And we put our goals in front of them. They tell us if our goals are right or not. And then we have our department goals, and we basically feed off the frontline staff what's important from the department perspective. And then that feeds up. And then we show them that we're delivering what they're asking us to do. So we're not in charge. We're at the mercy of the employees telling us what to do, and we do it, and they fully engage with that process. So yeah, we couldn't have done it without it. I'll just say that much.
So in terms of businesses that may be on the fence regarding CIMS certification, parting thoughts, guys, gals. What advice would you give? Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I would say that you'd be foolish not to consider it. It's not an expensive, call it certification per se. The value and the support you get through ISSA will make you stronger and better. If you keep reviewing it and redoing it every 2 years as it's required, you'll find that, you'll find where your defects are happening regardless, because you have to look at them again. So we always move forward. We forget to look back. Every so often you need to retreat back and make sure that things are still in place and everything's working. And that will help you do that consistently. And then if you could sell that to your clients, they will start seeing that you are repeatable, quality system. And I think that will retain your customers, if anything, or keep the contractors at bay in our world.
Yeah, there you go. Christina, how about you?
Yeah, I would say just go for it. I think challenge yourself, challenge your organization. What worked for us was having a project team where we put together. So it's not on one person. divvy out those responsibilities, do a gap analysis. You'll see what you're missing. And then from there, rely on your leaders, rely on your team members, and they'll bring a lot to the table. So I think if we clearly communicate the objective as well, people will see the benefit of it. And then once they see the benefit and they buy in, you're going to have them putting in all the effort that's needed to get the certification. And then lastly, and probably maybe this should have been first, but get leadership support. Leadership is so key for this certification. You need your senior leaders to be on board and to be passionate about this, because you want that standard to be set from the top. And then that passion and that example follows down to all the other leaders and employees of the organization. So work with those key people and just plug away at it little by little. Work with your assessor, and it's achievable for sure. So go for it.
Perfect. Thanks. Shannon.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a different spin on it. I think that some of the barriers as to why people may not look at training can be a financial barrier. When you take a look at applying the system that is in place through the CIMS program, what you're probably going to identify is there's a number of cost savings that come out that could justify why you would do the training. But outside of that, there's also grants that are available through the Canada Jobs Grant, credits, and things that you can apply to your small business or even a larger businesses to cover off a significant amount of those training costs, to remove that restraint and that barrier. But to plug ISSA charities as well, there's a really great opportunity to apply for some of those scholarships that you might be able to utilize some of those dollars towards some of these programs and continue your education. If this is what you believe in, this is your passion, and this is your profession, then 100% what's holding you back from doing it.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. How about you, Ken?
Well, I think, from the question about people sitting on the fence and why they should consider CIMS, I have a couple of comments. One from a contractor's point of view, and another will be from an end user's point of view. So when you have an opportunity to speak with contractors and talk about their business and their concerns, the one thing that constantly comes up is the question about pricing, the dreaded race to zero. And how do we get out of that spiral? And of course, the answer, I think, to that question is differentiation. You have to find a way to differentiate yourself from your competition so you don't get trapped into that price spiral. And I think when you can deliver a message to a customer that says, we are a professionally run company, that we operate to a standard that delivers consistent quality service, which is something that CIMS certification, enables a contractor to be able to do. That's where you start to be able to position yourself differently as a contractor, and you can truly start to differentiate yourself and sell more on a value platform. I think from an end user point of view, going back to what I said earlier about, what we started to do to try and build more awareness at the end user level about CIMS and what it meant. One of the first things I did, because prior to my retirement, I had an opportunity to do a lot of work with a company called BLJC, Brookfield DuPage Johnson Controls, who are now known as Brookfield Global Institutional Solutions. And I called Gord Hicks, who was the CEO, and I asked him if I could come in and meet with him and talk to him about something called CIMS. And Gord at the time wasn't aware of what CIMS was, and he asked me, well, why? Why do I want to sit down and talk about this with you, Ken? And I said to Gord, Gord, from your client base, you're constantly being challenged to deliver high CSAT or customer satisfaction scores, correct? And he said, yeah. And I said, especially with your large multi-location clients, that's even a greater challenge. And he obviously agreed, because I knew that was a challenge that they constantly faced. And I said, this will help you with that issue, Gord. He said, okay, come on in and we'll talk. And so I sat down with Gord and tried, I started to explain the CIMS program. And at some point during that explanation, Gord got it. You could literally see the light bulb go on in Gord. And he kind of put his hand up and he said to me, in his words, he says, Ken, I got it. CIMS is like the ISO for the cleaning industry. And I said, exactly. And he said, just a minute. And he got up and ran out of the room. As he was going out of the room, he says, I'll be right back. I got to go get Johnny. And he was talking about John Castellano, who was their vice president of strategic procurement. He brought John back in. And he said, and I've known John for a long time. And he said, Ken, tell John what you just told me. And so I went through the whole program again. And then Gord turned to John and says, John, we need to do something with this. We need to do something like write something into our bid specs that recognizes CIMS certified contractors, because this is how it's going to help us deliver consistent customer satisfaction scores across our client base. So, from those two perspectives, from a contractor's perspective of trying to differentiate themselves, from a client's perspective of trying to, select and work with the right, service provider to deliver consistent quality results. That's what CIMS is all about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ken. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really hope this episode has provided you all with some insight on the CIMS Standard and how it has changed the face of some businesses and facilities in this industry. If you want to receive more information about CIMS, you can visit the ISSA Canada website or email me directly, as I said, Tanya, Tanja, at issa-canada.com. And I hope that everybody can join us again next month for our next session. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. And thank you, guests, for your great information. Much appreciated.